I would ask eventually if we can just do an interview maybe on interdimensional stuff, if you'd be up for that.
Sure.
And about the Nephilim and all those sort of things.
Well, let's get to it.
Yes.
Let's start with who you are, where you came from, where you're going, and then
Sure.
move into all your good stuff.
Hi, thanks for tuning in. My name is Daniel Allen Jones, and today I'm here with some special guests that we're going to be sharing a lot of really interesting information on. So I'd like to first say thanks to Jim Mars, you're a good friend, an internationally known author, journalist of many different books, and so thanks for your hospitality, for letting us host this interview here. And of course, our featured guest here, Sarah Adams.
Hello, I'm Sarah Adams, and I'm a bit unique and different. Many people call me many different things, but I don't like labels, so I can't label it down. I just think we are what we are. So that's it, and I'm having a really great time in Texas. I have family here, and that's why I'm here, and I've been doing lots of healing here. So, it's been really nice, and it's been really nice, like, making new friends. It's been really awesome.
Were you born in France?
No, I was born here, but
In Texas?
So my mother had, I have some older French brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
She brought them here, they stayed here, and then she brought us who were born here back over there, so we grew up. So yeah, it was.
Well, was that so you could get a balanced education?
I just think my mom was an explorer. I like traveling myself. I just find that I can't stay put in one place too long. I feel like I have to go out and explore. So she was the same way, I think. So as a small child, I was in the United States for a good amount of time. My mom traveled the United States, and she brought me to France. My mother's French, and I grew up in France. When I was 24 and a half, I traveled back to the United States and lived here in Texas for a short amount of time, then moved, to New York and sort of traveled. And I've been back and forth since, I think, because there's some really amazing people here in Texas that bring me back. They're really warm and kind, so it's yeah.
Great. Well,
I call it God's country for nothing.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm prejudiced. I was born and raised in Texas.
And all the guns and stuff, it's really kind of safe. Yeah.
It kind of is.
It is. It's still wild country.
People think Texas is just wild and woolly west, but I guarantee you're safer than you are in Detroit.
Yeah.
Or Chicago.
I think there's a lot of interesting cultural differences in a lot of places. You've been to England for quite a while, then coming back here, it's quite a contrast, I'm sure, in what the culture's like. But I think it's
still have my tea.
It's interesting to see how still diverse a lot of things are here and what can be connected. But I think it's interesting that you've traveled a lot, and I'd like to touch upon any work that you've potentially done throughout that time of traveling. Were you ever involved in any kind of work or business or anything like that during your travels?
So, mostly exploration and grid work. I did run a jewelry business with my aunt for quite a while down here before I took off to England. So I'm sort of getting back into that with orgone and gemstones and stuff like that, which I enjoy doing. I did show you some of my jewelry, I think, last time.
It's really nice stuff, and I think you should keep
love
it up. And we'll get into that a little bit more later on. I just think it's really important that people get a sense of direction with a lot of the things that you've been involved with for a while, so they can really understand a bit more about your relationship with the work you do and your traveling.
So I was always different, and I think that what's really hard for me is to balance 3D life with all the interdimensional stuff I experience.
Right.
I like to say I'm multidimensional. I can see into other realms, see other things.
You feel like you're in a straitjacket?
No, I feel like that everybody is in society is walking around in a straitjacket, and I'm not walking around in it. But because everybody else is, and it seems normal to them, I'm the weird one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I sort of had it since a child. I was always talking to angels and different beings. It's something that comes normal to me. I guess I have lack of interest in things like football. Though I'm learning about it. Don't
Hey, you can't live in Texas unless you like football.
I'm learning about it, okay? I think that I just, like I said, I can lay down and meditate for hours and just go out of my body and go explore all these different things. And so coming back here, sometimes it seems a bit boring because it's 3D, it's...
Right.
Yeah, it's
kind of hard to connect
dense.
with the mundane
You're
world.
limiting yourself.
Yeah.
Well,
dense.
How would you compare that to remote viewing? Is it the same thing as remote viewing, or just similar, or something totally different?
Well, for me, there's two types of remote viewing. There's where I can project and just see, or I can get out of my body and briefly, almost hop into that other person's body in a way, or consciousness, and see like that. So do you get where there's two ways of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes I use it to check on friends and family. Sometimes I get into trouble doing it because one time I was checking on my brother and I got into somebody near him and I was like, oh, I don't want to be in this situation right now. No, like that. So, I always sense that their emotions. I can sense their emotions if they're unwell or unhappy, and I'll go and check automatically. I've got this thing where I just go and check that they're okay. So, let's say my brother or somebody I care about is having issue and they're right there. I usually jump into the person around them and to check on them. Does that make sense? And it's like I'm right there and I'm sitting here with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens.
But is it clear cut or is it just impressions?
It's it's clear cut.
Okay, it's very
sometimes
clear.
It's at one point, one instance that it was too clear cut. Like I said, it was somebody in my family. I was checking on them and I got into somebody near them, and it was like, oh, I don't want to be here seeing this. I've got to get out of here right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting. You kind of bring up a little bit about family. You'd mentioned that you have some brothers, and you told me that some of your relatives are half brothers, half sisters, things like
All
that.
of them. I'm my dad's only child.
So you have a kind of eclectic family spread around.
I said before Angelina Jolie adopted all these multicultural children, my mom decided to do it in all natural. she has I've got
So there's a
brothers.
variety of fathers.
Oh my god, she's going to watch this again. Yes, we have multicultural in my family, so I think it's quite beautiful though, and sometimes most of the times people don't believe we're related. People will come and stand around us and be like, your brother or sister. Sometimes I'm walking around my brother and they're like, oh, your girlfriend's really hot or whatever. I'm like, that's my brother. And they'll come and walk around us like, no, like that. And we're just standing there and they don't believe it. Sometimes it's a bit freaky, because if I go out to dinner with my brother or whatever, I feel because we look different, I'm blocking him, from else or something.
Well, considering your family's sort of heritage of French and then also American and everything, not to really focus too much on labels, but do you consider your heritage American or French, or maybe both? Or?
So my mom is 100% French and my dad is German American. So,
okay.
Yeah, and that's it.
And you're the only child by your father?
Yes, I'm my dad's only child.
Okay.
You still see him?
I'm very close with my uncle. Very, very close with my uncle. We spend quite a lot of time talking. So to continue the last thing, I want to adopt all these little children and make a multicultural family of my own. So that's on my list of things to do. So yes, I would like to adopt children from all around the world. I love children. I'm trying to go to Uganda soon. I think it's in March. I'm supposed to go to Uganda to help work at an orphanage over there for a month. So I'm really excited about this, and my uncle might join me. So I'm excited about that.
Well, I think it's really interesting to have such a diverse family to connect with, and obviously the cultural values are probably part of your upbringing and heritage as well. But with that, along with all the traveling you've been doing, you got involved with some really interesting people and really interesting groups. Would you like to make any comments on any of the people? A lot of people are obviously familiar with you by association of other figures, and so if you'd like to maybe make some statements about people that you've been connected with in England or the UK that have help to prompt a platform to give you the opportunity to speak and for you to share?
It was years ago. I was at some conference in Las Vegas, and one of the people from Basis Project decided to interview me because I told them that I had all these different experiences and basically really talked me into it. To this day, I'm still wondering if I should have done it. Does that make sense? I don't know if you've ever, in the work you've done, if you've ever thought, oh crap, maybe I shouldn't have went out there. I don't know if you've ever got those thoughts. I have, because maybe, I'm younger and I'm a girl, and there are some very mean people online.
Oh yeah.
They're probably not going to send you the crap they send me, because I look cute and sweet and innocent, and I am. I stand up for myself, so they think that they can just send me very mean stuff or bullying.
Well, you have to let that roll off your back just like duck in water, but yes, and I felt the same thing, sure. I'm a Sagittarian, right? So a lot of times I shouldn't have said that, or, maybe I should have couched that in a little more softer terms, No, so don't feel bad. That's, we all have that.
I know, and it's the thing, now I understand why people have PR agents.
Yes.
I understand now, they save them from a lot of horror online. Because some simple post that you're, really innocent, people can just twist it. But, as a project, I think everything is a projection of the person, it's their projection. They are projecting themselves onto you in a way. So.
Well, a lot of people have accused you of being a super soldier, whatever that means, and the fact that somehow the military-industrial complex, has used you. Do you have anything in your background that you feel like has been imposed on you that was not just part of your natural growing up?
So my grandfather was the security guard of President Reagan.
Mm.
Yes. So he's really tied into different stuff, but he's dead now, and I would say anybody with abilities or high abilities, anybody who is not even, whether they're hybrids or anything, they're going to be targeted for that, because those abilities are worth a lot to different...
to some people, they're weapons.
Well, exactly. There you go. This is it. So, yeah. I mean, if you have abilities and you're different, and you're good at using those abilities, and you will be. So
you were being used by the military-industrial complex.
You're trying. Here. I would say for a good part, I was used. I'm like I said, there's things that I don't like saying on camera because I'm aware of stuff.
Right.
But I would say yes. And then eventually I got a hold of myself, and I was able to become sovereign within. They approach me sometimes and ask me, well, can you remote view this, or can you do that, or whatever. And I try to look at the timelines. And if the timelines are good, then I will go and do it. If I think it's going to do a positive outcome for the timelines, I will go do it. If not, I won't do it. So, since a child, I remember them taking me and giving me microchips and stuff like that. And so I know how to deactivate microchips. I've done all of this different stuff. There's only one thing that I've had issues with, and it was something when I was really young that was implanted into my leg. And I still actually have it down here. You can actually see it. I showed it to Tanya, and it's not a chip, but it's some sort of something they implanted on my leg, and you can actually see it like in my leg. And when I start to go up in vibration, it kind of tries to put, because like I said, the cats, go up and down. So when I try to tune up in vibration, sometimes it gives it almost an electric shock through my body. That's very painful. Yes, that does that. So
kind of a governor. You got a governor on you, so you can't go too far out.
Oh my gosh! So I have that sometimes.
Can you overcome it?
Well, I thought that if I go any higher, that maybe I'll just not be here, and maybe that's a switch off. Yeah, maybe they put that there because they know that, Because when I do that, the temperature of my body too will go up higher, much higher, almost like speeding up, like revving up a car,
Mm-hmm.
So I thought maybe it's not bad, because I remember as a child they took me and they did that to me, the ETs. So I thought maybe this isn't bad. Maybe it's just to keep me from totally going out there.
So it's the ETs that put this thing in your leg?
Yes, I was 12 years old, if I remember right, when I remember being in a room and there was all these little hybrid children and they were playing. Some of them were moving blocks with their mind and stuff. And basically they implanted that in my leg and then put me back. And I was on the front porch. I wound up on the front porch, like naked. I was just a little girl. I was returned, and it was cold. There was snow on the ground. I was just found myself back on the front porch after they did that. So it's one of the experiences that I had that's really, really touched me. But I don't sense it's negative at all.
So, from what Jim just said, it seems like you have had this involvement all throughout your life of being pursued by different agencies, perhaps, and that maybe they have this interest in what you can do. Do you find that you've had any official or maybe unofficial training in different areas, or utilizing psychic abilities for certain purposes, things like that?
You have to realize that training, they can just download stuff right into you. They can just download energetic, like let's say they want you to go do something, they can just download the instructions right into you, or download even, sometimes.
Now, when you say they, are we talking about ETs, or are we talking about the military-industrial?
We're talking about the military-industrial complex. That's what I was trying to say about spies. A lot of spies don't even know they're spies because the front altar is, if you torture the front altar, anybody tortured, they could not get any information because it's an altar in back of that.
Right.
That's the spy altar. So there's a safe switch that, they cannot get information unless they cracked into that person psychically and downloaded the information psychically, but they'd have to go through a series of what I call guardians. And now I know that they use things like bafflement or different, even what they call the Goetian demons as, because you have to battle them to get past, to get the information. Does that make sense? On a subconscious level. So they have what I call gatekeepers. So many of the people that are used as spies or things like that, they have these gatekeepers imprinted in them to protect that information. And this is where we come up with, I don't want to say whoever, but I think there's the Mind Wars. It's called Mind Wars that I was telling you about, the book where it talks about stuff like this. And I'm pretty sure it talks about that sort of stuff. It's nowadays with spying and stuff like that, or picking up information, the person possibly doesn't even know they're doing it unless they're really different and can access their own subconscious and see what's going on there, that they even have that altar.
Have you got any gatekeepers?
No, I don't have any gatekeepers.
Okay.
No.
So you're free to say what you want to say.
No, I do. That's why I'm sitting here. Otherwise, I would not be sitting here.
Okay.
Well, do you feel like if you were potentially being used, that they would have a motive for that? What do you
I do
think
handle people to go get me tea. Actually, I get them tea too.
So, being that you could have potentially been sought out to be used for these certain programs and things like that, do you think that there was a motive behind what they were looking to use you for, as far as a certain goal or intention? What do you feel that you were attempted to be used for?
Things like remote viewing, collecting information and stuff like that, interdimensionally. Like I said, okay, so the exploration they're doing right now of space, what I was talking about, they're no longer interested in using rockets or...
Well, they're obsolete.
Exactly. They're looking to travel like the original, before the fall, like the original angelics, or what you call them, the Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki.
Yes, using energy.
Yes.
In the dimensions.
Okay.
So this is the thing. Their fuel and all that stuff is obsolete. So they know that all the secrets, much ancient tech, is hidden within the dimensions. So I did catch at one time that they were trying to follow me or trying to tag me when I go interdimensionally to collect that information, because there are blueprints for... They want the blueprints for very ancient technology, because now they're into interdimensional exploration, because they figured out that that's where everything that's supernatural, everything that's ancient and cult mythic, or the gods, fairies, whatever you want to call them, the elves, everything lives within these dimensions. So that's where all the secrets are, and that's what they're after now.
How many dimensions are we talking about?
Oh, wow. I'd like to say that...
More than 4, more than 10.
But creation is infinite.
That's true.
creation is infinite and is always creating. There's always creation going on. So there's always new things to explore. That's
So
why.
there can be new dimensions.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of things that are always. Look at space. Do you see how it's always growing and changing and evolving? Yes, there you go. It's same like this. We can't just. It's really sad that people just like say, you know, there's this amount of dimensions or there's this amount of this, and then to me that's a very non-evolved, very boxed-in view of what things are. It's a very sad view of it. Sad view of something that's absolutely divine and massive and infinite. Infinite. Yes. God is infinite. Remember, God is infinite.
That's true, and it's hard for us mere mortals to think in terms of infinite.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, most people can't think past the moon or Mars. You know.
Yeah. So with a lot of the programs using people to seek out information, to search for these different ideas or interdimensional issues that they've been going on for some time, have you connected with other people or associates that you might have had a connection with at some point or that have also been involved with these programs?
Of course, many times. I'm also very cautious because some of them are very unstable and they haven't gained sovereignty of themselves. So I'm very cautious about this and whether or not they're trying to tag me, but also I think I really tried them to help them heal. So it's one of the big things that I've worked on. Otherwise, yes, people around me, yes. I remember some from, you know, I'll meet them now, and I remember them from a child when I was in the programs. So it sort of depends.
Well, it seems like a lot of the people that are involved with that, like you're saying, probably don't wish to come out, but, you know, being in a position that you're in now, what would you suggest to anyone that might come across this, that has had an experience that they feel they need to bring out? What kind of advice would you give anyone in that position?
First, you have to figure out what you're experiencing. This is the whole thing of it. You have to realize what you're experiencing. If it's something that you're just picking up because of all of the waves in the world, the Wi-Fi, or if you really had that experience, you'll have to narrow it down. Does that make sense? To the experience you had, you have to narrow it down to what exactly it is, first of all. Because there's so many things you can tap in. Even if you're a person who's very empathic, you could experience a person across the world and think that that's your experiences, and it's not. It's just you have some sort of energetic link, even from a past life or from something else. So you have to figure that out, whether or not it's your experiences. That's the first step to it. Once you figure that out, it's your experiences, then I think that, you know, some of the stuff, especially when I was a child, it was very traumatic for me. Some of the things I went through were very, very traumatic. A lot of them were very divine because of the being I am and the interaction I have that's multidimensional. But it was as if that I was being helped by these interdimensional beings because I'm part of their family, and I was also having government interaction that was trying to be very harmful to me. So there was a terrible back and forth battle going on to both aid me and some to just try to gain control over me. So I had that going on. Once you have these experiences, especially if they're as a child, they can be traumatic, especially if they're supernatural, and most of society is not totally aware of supernatural stuff. It's very scary to them. Once you figure that out, I do think that, you know, you need to go ahead and explore it, but be very, very careful about it. And you definitely would need healing, especially if you've had any of those experiences as a child where you were in any of their programs. That's what I think.
You know, it's been said that any technology that's beyond our experiences is usually considered magic. Is there such a thing as magic, or is it simply technology and scientific information that we're not yet aware of?
I would say that it's very advanced technology that so we can't cut magic out of this because this very advanced technology would be considered magical.
Exactly.
Yes, that's the answer for that one.
Okay.
Yes.
So I guess we can move on into an area that if you feel comfortable.
A lot of people that are going to be seeing this, they have no idea who Max is. So start off and give him his name and then tell you how you met him and then tell you just briefly a synopsis of what's going on.
if I'm correct
Tell us
here,
about Max.
yeah. So if I'm correct here, you were the fiance of Max Spiers, who was an alleged. There's a lot of articles going around calling him a conspiracy theorist or a UFO expert, and seeing it all online is very muddied, and you don't really get a good personal connection. You, obviously being so close, knew more than anyone probably. So, with the events that have transpired now, could you describe a bit about your relation with him, and then maybe your involvement since all of that has happened?
I'd kind of like to hear the whole deal from your standpoint, because I've read several things. It goes from the ridiculous to the sublime. So,
Joe, people are absolutely ridiculous for one. Or there's always people like rumors and gossip, and I think that they thrive on those things, sadly. And it's one of like the non-evolved parts of society, sadly. As for Max, I've known Max for it's got to be 7 years now, and we're really good friends. Before we started, before we were together, we were really good friends, and I helped him out a lot, and I think pushed him more towards healing. Because like I said, I do a lot of healing. As for, let me go ahead and say his full name is Max Spiers, and everybody probably on my page, they do know about this, because they do follow it. It was really hurt. I was really hurt. I was really hurt. Sorry.
it's okay.
It was the most hurtful things in my life to lose him. But I do remember him since child in the programs. I remember him off planet. So when I say that I was like used sometimes, so basically, have you ever seen Avatar where they like make clone bodies and they put them into clone bodies and then use them like that? So off planet they do this, and the clones can only be alive for a certain amount of time, and because the main body, there always has to be the main body. There's a lot of crap about cloning, whatever. So I have memories of being with Max and doing different exploration, and we could take out things just telepathically and stuff like that as a small child. And he's very, very gifted. And I do believe he got into the wrong hands, and I have spoken to his mother recently, and it's been turned into a case, a legal case.
Good.
Because, and I'm under no suspicion whatsoever. In fact, the cops were worried about me, the police were worried about me.
Your personal safety?
Yes, my personal safety, because there's insane people who basically, there's insane group of women who just are obsessed with their groupies online that just decided that they needed to try to say that I did something hurtful to him, which I never hurt him. I don't think I could express how much, I love him. It's very, very hard. It was really hard. And losing him. And when he died, I collapsed on the floor and was rushed to the ER. My aunt, she rushed me to the ER because I felt him die, and it was like the most awful thing to feel. Because whenever when I'm with somebody, I connect to them, like I feel everything they feel. Like I said, I could feel anybody around me. If they're hurt, I could feel if they're hurt, and I give them energy so that they're okay. And I literally felt him die. So all my energy was drained, and I collapsed. And on the floor, they rushed me to the ER. And I thought I was going to die because I didn't have any more energy left. I was so drained of energy that everything was going crazy in my body. I ended up going to the ER I don't know how many times and just spitting up blood for I don't know how many months. And I just barely, I think I'm not crying every day over it. Because I have such a bond to him, even from previous lives all the way back to Mars. I have such a bond to him that is very strong in Atlantis. I have all these memories of him in Atlantis and Egypt.
Through past lives and dimensions. Well,
yes, we have this whole group of us that sort of our soul family that travel together, and he's very, very close to me. So it was absolutely devastating to experience that.
since you were so empathic and you were there with him at the end, can you settle the controversy over whether he died of natural causes or whether he was essentially murdered?
I can say I believe something was done to him because he was like me. Whenever I go into where I have lack of energy, I start to pull energy out of everything around me as a sort of last survival mode, and I've seen him go through so much and overcome it. It's not natural. Even his mother, she knows this is not natural for Max just to have died like that. Something happened to him that was very, very bad. When I get out of my body and I go exploring and stuff like that, sometimes I get to astral fights and my body has to heal quickly. When I come back in, it has to heal quickly. So he was used for some of the same stuff I was used for. So he usually healed quickly. He would always talk about how quickly he healed. And I've seen him resilient over many, many things. And it shocked me that he just died like that. I didn't think that ever could happen to him. And then when that happened to him, I realized that I needed to be protective of myself. And for a good couple of months after that, I was just really badly attacked every single day.
Psychically?
Oh yeah. So you know how I said they have the what I call the gatekeepers. Well, anyhow, they sent me a very strong gatekeeper that tried to keep me from coming back in my body. It blocked me out of my body, and my body was dying. I barely got back into my body. That same night, my uncle had to get me rushed to the ER because when I got back to my body, it was so weak. I started just spitting up blood, so I was rushed to the ER.
What did they diagnose in the hospital?
They didn't know what's going wrong with me.
Right.
And I had the whole Vice crew, and the poor Vice crew, they're doing this whole documentary on Max, and they're just really awesome from Vice TV. Do you know what Vice TV is? Mm-hmm. And they're just really awesome checking up on me. And, even they were like, this has to do with something that they're using black magic or they're trying to harm you too. They didn't know what was going on. One day they would test me and I was totally fine. The next day they would test me, my liver and everything was off. And my doctor just itched her head and she threw down the paper, was like, I don't know what's happening here. She's like, we just had you spitting up blood. I don't know what's happening.
So it almost sounds like a possession.
It was like they were sending me all sorts of attacks and it was weakening me over and over again. I finally got out of that because I got some help. But I do think that they thought when Max died that I would possibly die too, just from the connection I had from him and heartbreak. It was like basically ripping my heart out, ripping somebody's heart out. On an energetic level, it was extremely, extremely painful, and it came down. It came down to the point I was spitting up blood. That's how bad it was.
Well, I remember reading that some of the people around him said that he was spitting up some kind of black stuff. Now, what can you tell me about the black goo?
It seems like he was spitting up old, or what they call culture. How do you say that word? Blood. When blood's old,
well, it's like coagulated blood?
Yeah, coagulated blood. But that's impossible that he spit up coagulated blood because he would have had all of that inside of him.
Right.
And he wouldn't have been alive that long.
Right.
But yeah, I did see that. And he had some strange marks on his head and stuff like that. I saw some pictures and he had some strange, I don't know if it seems like burnt marks or different marks on him.
Some kind of marks on his forehead.
Yeah, that were very, very strange that we're still trying to figure out.
So it seems like there's some foul play and everyone's kind of wondering what's gone on with that. Obviously, there's accusations being thrown around everywhere. For whatever reason, some people still think that you are somehow suspect involved. Is there a statement you'd like to make to clear that?
I think I just made enough to clear that, but what I want to say is I think people are absolutely horrible because, it was evident that I really got hurt. If you hear me on Project Camelot, when I just called in there, I was really honest about it. I was really hurt losing him. And I just think that sometimes people can be absolutely horrible. And that's my statement on it. I would never do anything to hurt him, ever, ever at all. So much. I worked so hard to heal him and make sure that he was okay.
What do you think that he would have wanted to leave everyone, in the circumstance that he wasn't going to pass so suddenly? What do you think the message he would have wanted for people to know about what he was doing and to give to humanity?
Well, his body's dead, but he's not dead. So he's interdimensionally.
Have you been in contact with him?
Yeah, I spoke to him last. Yeah.
Well, hadn't he told you what happened to him?
Yes, he did.
Well, so what happened to him?
He did say. He said that they had tapped. He said they had tapped everything. That the group he was around or something had tapped. Like they were listening to his conversations and wanted to blackmail him when he was in
Hear that?
compromised positions and stuff like that. So because he was having a hard time on different stuff, and he did say that to me, and basically he went to some of our mutual friends and told them in their dreams and told them that he loved me and they needed to give me presents. So I've been having people give me presents. They're like, Max came into my dream and told you to give presents to you. So I was like, oh, thank you. It's so sweet. Everywhere I go, everywhere we drive on, there's always Max coming up. Like the name Max everywhere when we're driving.
It's always interesting. Well, I think that with his sudden passing and the controversy that it's kind of opened up, and now that it's been in the mainstream media, more people are waking up to something seems to be going on. I imagine that you're privy to a lot of what he was going to be discussing at the conferences that seemed to get him in the position that he was in danger of, and it's interesting to think that he was in a position to share some of the sensitive information he may have had that led to this happening. Do you find that he knew what he was getting involved with? Or do you think it was set up?
I took it more seriously. He didn't see the danger in it as much as I did. Yes, I took it a lot more seriously, and I sort of acted, when we were together, I sort of acted as like, okay, Max pointed out, like, that might be a bit dangerous. Be careful there, sort of like that. I think he took it a lot lightheartedly, and because he was strong. I don't know if you've seen pictures of him, but he was strong, physically strong. He was bright, smart, and he really thought, he was invincible and he could take on all this stuff. And I told him, I said, I know, like, we can do a lot of stuff, but we still have to be careful.
Yes.
And I think that, he didn't. Now, it's very funny because in True Detective 2, it has Rachel McAdams, and they leave her alive, but they kill, and it's about them investigating secret societies and things like that, and basically exploitation of people and stuff like that. They leave Rachel McAdams alive, but they kill her partner, oddly enough, in there. And I told them, I said, I thought they were using that as a threat to tell us beforehand not to delve into stuff. As we watched that, and it was just so close to me and him. To some of the shots in there was where we had been in LA and different stuff like that. I was like, this is very odd. It's almost like they're leaving us a message to sort of, not go there. Mm-hmm. And I took it as such, and he thought it was really weird, some of the stuff in there, but I don't think he took it as in depth. But I thought that, for me, they do a lot of the way they communicate, because they know that I pick up codes and stuff like that. They can do it through songs, through media, stuff like that. They're putting a lot of messages through media, through movies, through shows and stuff like that. Yes.
Yeah, because they can.
Yes.
We were talking earlier that you can probably get more truth out of comic books than you can out of the news media, because the news media is totally controlled by corporate interest, and you only get what they want you to hear. Comic books, they don't pay much attention to, because these are just usually young people, and they're just doing weird stuff, and the rest of people, for example, a lot of people who may be watching this are going to think that, well, that girl's just nuts, she just, but hey, over and above an item that caught my attention in the accounts of Max's death was, and I don't know, it may have come from you, or it may have come from somebody else, but there was just one little mention that said, he told somebody that he was going to reveal a pedophilia ring within the upper echelon of the U.S. military. Now, that can get you killed, okay? And that's what really stuck me. Do you know anything about that, or would you think that had anything to do with this?
I have no idea what the Catholic Church does. I have no idea what the Vatican holds. I have no idea that possibly, that there are some of the fallen in the Vatican that are more than hundreds of years old, and they do blood transfers and body transfers, and they stay locked away in there. So I have no idea about any of that stuff. maybe there's body trafficking going on. Maybe they can transfer persons or a soul from one body to another. Maybe some people are not people and they're really ancient and they're just going from one body to another body. And that's how they hide them.
Yeah, maybe so.
Maybe there's a lot of stuff going around like that. Maybe they need children because it's fresh energy and, they need, that's their food. Maybe they have to do terrible things to children to feed off of them because they can't eat normal food and digest it like we were talking about. But I'm not going to sit here and say anything like that. It's probably, like I said, maybe I'm just a crazy girl.
Well, you're not alone.
But all the crazy ones are the awesome ones.
David Icke has a following of, I don't know, maybe millions from around the world.
Yeah.
He says the same thing. So maybe it's time we start paying some serious attention to some of this.
Well, I think that's kind of what I was getting at with being privy to some of the things that he was going to share, because as I got the same indication, it seemed like people are putting together that he was going to share about a lot of these things which people don't want to talk about, that will get you killed or at least on the radar. And being privy, I think, is important. The manner in which you make a public statement can be detrimental. So it's understandable to maintain a healthy distance from that topic, but it does seem to be as a kind of relevant issue lately. We're having all this talk about Pizzagate and everything, and there's of course accusations.
Symbolism in Pizzagate. Notice how it's the symbolism. They're figuring out that it's the symbolism. Did you read about Pizzagate and the symbolism that's being used? And some of the symbolism I think is like on ice cream and stuff like that. The hidden pedophilia symbolism. They figured it out, and that definitely is how they communicate, like using symbols or using like
imagery,
simple
things.
words or things you're not going to catch on to.
Well, I think for the people that do catch on to that, it can only be maintained a secret so long. And so obviously people are waking up. There's a lot of people that are throwing around accusations. And of course you seem to come under attack a lot on that. It's really unwarranted, but is there anything
not
you'd like to...
Pizzagate. I don't think am I coming under attack for stupid Pizzagate?
Well, if there was something that you would like to...
I'm saying stupid attacks on me for Pizzagate.
Sure. If there was something you'd like to say to, dissuade people from thinking you're involved with that, what kind of message would you give people? Because there's a lot of information that's going around, a lot of rhetoric that suggests that you're involved with all this, all this nonsense, and I think it's important that you give some clarification.
It's just that, though. I think you've answered your question. It's absolutely nonsense. I think with being in the media on any level, you're going to get some sort of scrutiny or people
absolutely.
That's it. And
the whole strategy is to attack the source, okay? If they've done this for years. They've done this with UFOs. Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, to a certain extent today. If you say, I saw a UFO, then there's always going to be somebody that says, well, I think you may need psychiatric care,
Yeah.
You don't hear that much anymore because now UFOs are so prevalent and everybody's got a picture of them with their iPhones and everything else. But I remember when they tried to say that there was no such thing as a UFO, it was all mass psychosis. Well, excuse me, I thought that was a hell of a story. A heretofore undiagnosed contagious mass psychosis. But you don't hear about that anymore because everybody's got a picture of them now. So yeah, that's it's standard operating procedure to attack you and your credibility.
Back then you'd be locked up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but that's okay. A few hundred years earlier, you'd be burned at the stake.
Catholic Church and all of that.
Oh yeah.
They had it good back then, huh?
Oh,
it was
yeah,
really their
they
glory days.
Burned
at the
up,
stake.
they burned up their dissidents.
It's funny because there's a series called The Strain, and I actually talked to I've actually talked to the director, one of his best friends, and she's helped out with like Hellboy and stuff, all the costume.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to her about all of this sort of stuff. We'll have to talk about the subject of how in the Garden of Eden it was a parasite, not a serpent, and the garden is the body, and the tree of life is the spine. We'll have to talk about that next time. But anyhow, I talked to her, and then The Strain came out. And oddly enough, in The Strain, the main one is the main, quote, fallen. Where it shows they're hiding, it looks like the Vatican.
For
And that's
those
where
of you-
they're drinking blood from. The
Right.
vat.
If
Now,
it-
the Vatican, a vat of Cain bloodline.
Yep.
They need blood, yes. So there's the vat of Cain.
For those of you that are not unaware of the strain, it's a TV series where basically, I guess they're vampires, but they're not in capes and fangs and stuff. They have like a parasite that shoots out of them, grabs you in the throat, and sucks all your blood. Okay, so that's what she's saying.
Parasites, the fallen. He did a very good thing on that. So it ties in parasites, the fallen. It ties in the Black Sun, the Nazis. It ties in a nice little couple of things, in this area of work together.
So it seems like it really ties into a lot of different areas. You seem connected spiritually and interdimensionally to a lot of issues throughout all the timelines and everything like that. With shedding some light on the situations that have been at hand for a while, it's clear that you have a lot of work you're looking to do with what you described as being multidimensional,
Yes.
as looking to advocate a healthy lifestyle of nutrition and implementing certain things in your life that help promote good energy and things like that. So what are some of the areas that people can look forward to you working on and doing now that they might be able to see coming from you?
Okay, so I want to teach people multidimensionality, how the cells in your body can keep you they can be a cell, literally a prison cell for your soul energy, and how the cells in the body are almost like solar panels, and they are
Absorb energy.
Exactly, but they can't, because most people are toxic, and all the heavy metals and everything metals are going into the cells and blocking out, so the light energy is not absorbed. More light energy is absorbed, the more their DNA lights up, the more they become interdimensional, like blowing up a helium balloon.
Is that the reason that they're spraying us with chemtrails
Yes,
that are primarily heavy metals?
Yes, this is one of the things right here.
Aluminum oxide,
Yes,
barium.
aluminum, yes. So then people who are very toxic, even if they're eating superfoods or whatever, if their cells are not cleared out, their cells are not feeding. They're not feeding from light energy that they need, and they're basically reflecting. Those heavy metals are reflecting out any light energy. Now, fruits and vegetables, if you look at them, we did Aurora. Remember the whole Aurora thing? If you get something can see energy, they are illuminated with energy. You eat that gives you energy. People of society are walking dead because they're eating mostly dead food.
That's right. Processed food is dead food.
Exactly, and it has no energy.
No nutrients, so no energy.
Exactly. So their literal souls are starving, and the soul, S-O-U-L. If you take the U out, you've got S-O-L, solar, sun. Their souls are pieces of light.
Which has always been a source of energy to all living things.
Yes, but the soul is literally a piece of light, and
piece of the sun.
It keeps getting drained from things around, and it's not replenishing that.
Yeah.
We're not replenishing that through foods and stuff like that, which is breaking down our auras, breaking down our chakras, and allowing entities then to possess people. So these are some of the things that I want to sort of teach about.
Right, and I would assume that if you eat GMO products, that's not providing energy that you probably really need.
No, and it's like everybody's scared of robots. Oh, there's going to be an age where
the AIs
robots
take
but there's
over.
Already everybody's all those heavy metals have made people literally into antennas and walking robots. So transhumanism has already happened in society.
Right.
Yes.
If not the zombie apocalypse.
Well,
both.
it's funny, and that's why The Walking Dead is such a big show, because everybody
Resonates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of what's happening in society.
That's right.
Well, I think it's really great to see the variety of areas that you're looking to advocate for a lot of people in the work that you're doing.
For those of you who may be thinking this is too far out to even think about, I would simply quote Shakespeare: "There are more things under the sun than are dreamt of in your philosophies, Horatio."
That was lovely. Maybe I know Mr. Spiers. Maybe Shakespeare is Mr. Spiers in another life.
Maybe so.
Well, I think it's going to be really interesting to continue working to put out segments that are themed on these different subjects. So what are some of the areas you'd like to let people know to look forward to that we'll be discussing?
Health, multidimensionality, the realms, dimensions, ETs, how ETs, there are both good and bad ETs. I want to clarify a lot on that, hybrids, all sorts of things, from vaccines to foods. It's just extensive, the list of things now. I have to tap on.
Well, and you're coming at the perfect time, because I have perceived a rising consciousness on the part of humanity, not just in this country, but other countries all around the world, actually.
Yes.
And so it's going to be really exciting in the future.
It's funny because when Max died, he came to me right after, he said, "We will see the awakening of humanity," and I truly believe this. I knew this as a little child, but I think he sort of reminded me of that. So it was very Well, this was very lovely. Thank you
That's a good positive
Thank
message.
You were very lovely.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks, everyone. We look forward to doing more segments with Sarah. Let us know what you think. Please subscribe, and look forward to all the more videos to come. So thank you, Sarah, and thanks, Jim.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go see what the Cowboys are doing.